What's going on? It's Dapper Don, and I'm excited to welcome you all back. Oh boy, do I love comic books. I love Captain America, I love Batman, and I love Iron Man, all of them. But one thing that I love more than that are the local artists that come together to do something that has never been done before. That come together to take those inspirations and to bring them into something new. And that's just who we have with us on the show today. Introducing Joshua Myers, aka Moban Kiki. Please go ahead and tell him about yourself there, Josh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I'm Joshua Myers. That was an amazing intro, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I am, yeah, of course. I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and I was born and raised here.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Columbus College of Art and Design for my education, and I went in as an animation major.
Okay.
And then right before, like my second year in, I had switched to illustration because I realized I didn't like drawing so many pictures for animation. Like, it's a lot of work. Like,
yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of stuff. I hear you have to do something like 1,000 pictures at a time.
Pretty much. Think like 24 frames per second, so 24 pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And you normally work on like 2s or 3s, so 2 or 3 pictures between all of that.
Right.
It's the in-betweens that's the issue.
Oh, so tell me, like, so let's just say you're doing a character walking. How many in-betweens do you have to draw, and like how weird is it to draw it?
So, to me, it depends on exactly like where they're walking or how they're walking, because it depends on how much personality you have in it. And say if I'm doing like just the regular stepping forward, that can be anywhere between like 3, 4, sometimes 5 pictures. But I prefer to keep it between 3 and 4 because you got to have like the motion of them putting the leg up and then going down. Okay. And you got to show that shift in weight.
Oh my God, that's a lot. And then on top of that, if it's like a serious character, you got to make sure that they're walking serious. You got to make sure the arms are swinging right. Oh my God. Mm-hmm. Oh, well.
As opposed to like comics, you can just draw the one.
Yeah, you just draw the one. You just draw the character, just kind of move in, and the audience can make it up in their head the rest.
Exactly.
Right. So, you know, I'm just gonna go into just gonna go on a little bit about you, a little bit about what you do now. What was the first comic that you made that made you go, yeah, this is what I want to do?
I got 2 different times. So, the first time was when I was younger. When I had started drawing, I started around the time I was 8 or 9 years old. When I was like, "Ooh, this is something I can specialize in. I'll do this."
Okay.
And that came from watching like Dragon Ball, like the original series.
Oh yeah.
And I had one of the DVDs, and I had drew what was on the cover. Mm-hmm. And then shortly after that, I started making my own characters and had my own Dragon Ball comic book.
Oh, okay. And what was it kind of about? Was it like just continuing off the main story?
It was like I would have my own characters. I didn't really reference the original characters, but some of my characters were pretty much knockoffs of the original characters.
Right.
And I could say the same for Naruto because I did that with Naruto right after.
Right.
But that was all during like elementary school. Okay. And during middle school, I didn't draw as much. I did start making my own stories completely. In high school, I just focused on sports because I was trying to lose weight. And by the time I got done with high school, I was trying to figure out, what am I about to do for the rest of my life? Or at least, what am I about to do these next few years?
Okay.
And I grew up in like a high, like achieving and academic background. So though I do art, I also know like things in like biomed because I was in a biomed program. But ultimately, I didn't like those. So I was like, I'm going back to drawing. Yeah. And then I got into animation when I do think I should have went into comics instead, but I found out shortly after. That's why I switched to illustration. And I had an intern with Freestyle Comics, Comics with a K, and that made me want to start making comics again because, like, just seeing another artist, especially one that comes from Columbus or is like bigger in Columbus. He went to my school, and he has a very diverse set of characters, and it reminds me a lot of like DC and Marvel, but it's his own thing.
Right. And that kind of drew you to like, oh wow, it's like a freedom with the medium.
Yeah.
Right. And what genre would you say that you write in mostly?
I would say dark fantasy, action, adventure. I'm trying to add some more elements of like suspense.
Okay. So it's okay, so you're getting into the like, would you say it's more of a Moon Knight style, or are you trying to go more into like a general like horror comic, or is it somewhere in between?
I think I go more Moon Knight style because like it has some comedy in there too. You know, we all love a laugh.
Yes.
And I like to make people laugh, so I go the Moon Knight route.
All right. And you know, I know I already touched on it a little bit, but what are some of your favorite dark comic storylines? The Killing Joke, Spawn, Moon Knight, Hellboy, anything?
That I can think of off the top of my head right now. Spawn's one of them, though I need to like read even more of it. I gotta get that first compendium, man.
Yeah.
Another one. These ones are mangas, but there's one called Origin. It's made by Boichi, you know, the guy who made Dr. Stone.
Oh.
Okay. I think it's a 4-part series, maybe. I have 3 of the volumes, and it's amazing. The art, amazing. The story, like to have the gist of it. There's this robot dude. I'm gonna just say he's a cyborg, and he was the first model that was made after this dude that he does call father.
Yeah.
And we find out that this robot is starting to feel like human emotions for some reason. And in the midst of that, the other robots that the dude made are trying to kill him.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that gets interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So, and the thing is, he has to outsmart them. Thankfully, he's already smarter than them, but he's like disguising himself under like all the other humans and learning more about like AI and things of that nature, so he can enhance his self. Whereas like the other characters, they're stronger than him, so they could easily mop the floor with him unless he makes these enhancements.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like he's kind of having to do a robot Batman thing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And by the way, have you seen the new stuff with Batman, like the Absolute Batman and all that stuff going on?
I haven't kept up with it yet, but I have seen the covers. Last time I stopped by the comic book store, I was most interested in Absolute Wonder Woman and Batman.
Okay, I know the art for Absolute Wonder Woman is amazing. The people for the art for Absolute Batman say that some of it just looks abominable. So I don't know. I mean, they really don't like the Bane concept.
Yeah,
but
I can understand that.
But you know, I'm sure when we get more of the story, you know, we'll see what happens, because that's just one drawing, and comics are a myriad of drawings.
Right, and I honestly like to see the variation in what people do with like the concepts for certain characters.
Right.
I actually seen, what's this artist's name? There's a guy who made Bitter Root.
Mm-hmm.
The name of the comic. I don't know why his name's leaving me right now, but he's worked with DC, Marvel, Image, all of that. And when I say, I just lost my train of thought.
No, you're good.
What was it about? Yeah, I forgot.
No, you're good. You're all good. But I suppose that kind of brings us to our next topic. Tell me about the comic you write. What's the plot? What's the story? What's it called? And how are you moving the story forward? How are you building the world?
So, I originally made this character during my sophomore year of college.
Right.
His name is Osmodius, and that is also the title of the comic.
Yes.
He's a recently appointed Grim Reaper who's trying to maintain the balance between the spirit and the living realm.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's doing that for the story that's going on right now, he finds this elf named Zola, and he finds out that she astral projected in her sleep. And that leaves her body as an open vessel for other people to get into. So he has to help her get back to her body before someone else can take it.
Okay.
And I'm currently I'm currently halfway through the second chapter. I'm almost done with my pencils.
Okay.
And after that, like, so I got the first and second chapter. Those will be tied in together as like a two-part. Because originally Osmodius was going to be a one-shot.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've been wanting to continue the story, but a lot of life stuff been happening, so it got pushed back a few times. And now I want to like continue it more, especially after going to Indiana. So Dan, the guy who made Sly Cooper, like the characters and all that,
Yeah.
he encouraged me to like flesh out the concept even more. So that's had me wanting to add like a bit more to it because it was like, that's one of my childhood heroes, and just hearing that, so okay, there's something to this.
All right. And now I know you told me about this before, and I think it's a great concept, especially since the characters are actually diverse in race. It's not just your typical, pale, white, overly edgy, protagonist. You got some variety in there.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's what we're needing. We're needing more representation. But like, how do you build a dark world like that? How do you make a dark action story, dark fantasy story compelling without being just edgy for edgy's sake?
So for me, I base everything around the characters because ultimately, I like drawing characters a lot more than I do backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started with Osmodius, and as I was making him for the class, for example, I made a bunch of different iterations. Then I went with one. He was holding his death stick, is what I call it.
Mm-hmm.
It's that stick he holds instead of a scythe, and he uses it more kind of like a wand, like a magician's wand or a warlock maybe. And while doing stuff like different projects for that, I also had made like these gumballs. These gumballs he uses are they become like golems, but in like a way they're like ghosts. Think of the Super Ghost Kamikaze attack from Dragon Ball.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But they don't explode. And they're made from the souls that he's been collecting over time. Mm-hmm. But they're the souls that are like they don't belong in the living realm or the other realm because they just cause too much disaster.
Okay. And do you credit this? Do you credit this kind of comic, this kind of concept to any particular influences? Anything from horror, noir, mythologies?
Let's see. A little bit of mythology, just because of Osmodius' name. Yeah. And then for like other things, like Zola being an elf, that's just from the traditional fairy tale type of world. And then let's see. I was mainly inspired by like Spawn in terms of like the cover of the book. Right. In terms of how the world works, I'm still like navigating that as I go.
Okay.
Because right now you've only seen like say the spirit realm. The spirit realm I got inspiration from in Avatar: The Last Airbender, how their spirit realm works.
Oh, that means it's huge.
Yeah. And the same goes for like the regular world, like the living world, but I haven't explored the living world as much yet since we've been focused on the spirit realm and where Zola stays specifically in that.
Okay. So it's kind of like kind of going there, but I know you want to flesh out the human world and maybe any other realms that you kind of think up along the way.
Yeah.
Right. And how do you balance your character development with what I assume to be, pretty brutal action?
So yeah, definitely some brutal action. So for Asmodeus, he's dealing with like survivor's guilt because he's a reaper, and the reapers I have as like how we're humans.
Yes.
For him, he's a reaper, and once a reaper dies, they no longer exist. So his brother was the last Grim Reaper.
Okay.
And that's why he became the Grim Reaper. So it was passed down to him. And now that he no longer exists, but still has to deal with the living and the dead, he's having to like really deal with the fact he's really not about to see him again. And that shows up a lot as wrath for him.
Mm-hmm.
And like with him in the story now, he's mainly kind of like learning what he wants to, what's really like right or wrong in the situation. Like say if someone was trying to get payback for like the murder of somebody, right, whether or not that's just, but he doesn't see the blind side and what he wants to do because he still wants revenge.
Right. So he still wants revenge, but he's kind of like having to temper that with what's right.
Yeah.
And that kind of keeps him from going too off the deep end.
Yep.
Okay. And now, this is going to be an interesting type of question, but if you had any character from any comic book franchise that you'd love to be writing or rewriting, which one would it be?
All right. So my first one's Deadpool. I've always loved Deadpool. And it's because of like the humor and like I would have so much fun with his dialogue.
Yes.
Then let's see. If I were to choose a second character, I'm trying so hard not to say Spider-Man.
Go ahead and say Spider-Man. I mean,
yeah,
I'm curious.
I'm gonna have to go with Spider-Man.
Because I'm curious, how would you rewrite Spider-Man?
For Spider-Man, off the top of my head, I'm not sure how I'd rewrite them because there's so many versions.
Yeah.
Then it's like I don't think I'd do Peter Parker. I'd either do Miles Morales or what was his name? Oh, I would rewrite what is his name now? I don't Chasm.
Chasm?
Yes. I need new suit, new everything.
New everything, just complete overhaul.
Yes.
Okay. And I mean, those are great starting choices because again, with your type of style, I could definitely see it working with the characters. As far as like Spider-Man could definitely stand to be a little bit more imposing considering how much experience he has as a hero now.
Yeah.
And for Deadpool for one, now you could with the brutal action that you already draw, you could definitely a character having fun with that would be just amazing.
Right.
But now we're going to move on to what are some creative challenges that you've kind of had and how have you overcome them? Burnout, deadlines, imposter syndrome, that sort of thing?
So the first one I would say is like, I got ADHD, so I do struggle a bit with executive function.
Mm-hmm.
So when I want to do something, but I'm using a lot of my brain power thinking about it instead of doing it, which does like interfere with like deadlines at a time, but I still make my deadline.
Right.
But sometimes I take too long to actually start, and by the time I do, that causes the burnout.
Oh my goodness.
And then it's also like trying to juggle a whole bunch of things. So
Yes.
My comic, going to conventions and signing up for conventions,
Right.
trying to collab with other friends and artists. And what was the last one I was thinking of? YouTube, because I've been doing YouTube.
Oh yeah, and also I am definitely gonna have you list your YouTube at the end as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so and by the way, I think I saw you and Aria at the con. Are you collabing with her on anything? A particular project?
At the moment, I'm not. Ariel will be. She's in school at the moment,
Okay.
so she hasn't really had much time to do her personal work. But I do plan on doing a few things with her in the future.
Okay. And how did you guys meet? Did you guys just know each other for a long time?
We met in college almost 2 years ago. It'll
Okay.
be 2 years in September.
It was refreshing finding another partner in crime, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
All right. Well, now we're going to move on to what I've labeled here as the nerd roundtable.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just going to ask you, do you think Batman should kill or do you think Batman should not kill? And what do you say to the discourse regarding, like, because it's been all over TikTok and YouTube. If you think Batman shouldn't kill, you're a horrible person because the Joker and all this stuff. What do you think of that? What do you think of that discourse? What's your view on it as a writer?
All right, so as a writer, I completely understand why people want Batman to kill, but I don't think he should, only because of what he stands for. You know, like he doesn't want to kill. He knows that crossing that line will cause him to go mad, and like he just knows how that trickles down. And then yeah, we got Joker, but another one can come up if he does kill this Joker, and we know there's more than one Joker. So
yes, and that's what we've seen is that there's been it's canon that could possibly not be the only Joker, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's like dealing with that, and then like we already got Red Hood, and we see why he gets on Red Hood through each person he's killed so far.
Yeah, and it's another side to it that I don't think people are kind of understanding. Now I get where it seems like a little weird too, where he'll go after the Red Hood before he goes after the Joker, but it's like there's just a line, and when and from what I understand, when you're dealing with somebody like Batman who has the power to just destroy or build whatever he wants, him having some kind of moral code is a good thing.
I agree. And then it's like, even with him going to like Red Hood first, like at the end of the day, that's someone who he sees as a son. Like that's his family.
Right.
So he's going to try to get him to go on the right path instead for staying on the wrong one.
Yes. All right. Yeah, I think you kind of summarized that pretty well. And now I'm going to stir the pot a little here. There's been a lot of noise about AI art recently, especially in the comic world. And as someone who's in the trenches getting hit by that mustard gas, I gotta ask, what's your gut reaction when you see AI generated comic art?
The type of gut that hurls.
Uh-oh.
Because like specifically generative AI, it's not creative, it's stealing. And yeah, you could make the argument artists steal, because we are trying to get ideas and make them new, but it's not making anything new. It's just an amalgamation of a bunch of existing people's art. And along with that, they're stealing people's art. Like that's the worst part about it. Like there's no credit, and they're not giving people the option on whether or not the AI can feed on their content.
Right. And, what do you think AI means for the soul of a comic? For just the soul of the art industry in general? What do you think it's going to do?
I think it would take the soul away. And that's because AI can't feel emotions the same way that we can. And even when it comes to like dialogue, the dialogues are not going to feel like it's real humans talking. And like even for like the art, like the transitions may look weird. As a person who's like, I won't really read a book unless I like the art in it. I have to be engaged by the art. So if I'm noticing like a whole bunch of mess ups that were clearly like from AI, I'm not gonna want to read it at all. Like
Oh
they
yeah.
normally mess up the arms, the fingers. You'll either have, if they do have all 5 fingers, one's looking real wonky.
Yep, I've seen that. It'll be like them, like when you dream, those weird proportions, not
Yeah,
easily defined, and you don't notice it unless you're looking at it. But once you see it, it's bothersome.
right. Like it's like the fever dream that you just don't want to have again.
Yeah, yeah. No. I get it. I get it. Um, and well, okay, let's just say in 10 years, AI can replicate all of us and write and draw in your exact style. Do
Mhm.
you think that's going to flood the market, or do you think it'll raise the bar? Do you think it's just going to be like it'll never replace me? It's never going to get it right. How do you think?
I would say the last two.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so in terms of like it taking our stuff, like it's already doing that, and considering a lot of people are trying to get away from the hyper realism wave right now because that's what AI is predominantly doing
Yes.
outside of the Studio Ghibli drama, since
Right.
they are trying to replicate them now.
Yeah, because it's
And
kind of trying to go for the DC, the Marvel, like the popular
yeah,
type of styles, which are a lot of comic book writers' go tos.
yeah, and I always felt like stylized art is really where it's at because those normally have the most memorable characters for us.
Mm-hmm.
They're the easiest to draw most of the time, and it's just they're more relatable in that sense, and you can tell there's like a human touch to it.
Right.
And the more we stylize, the more we express a human's emotions.
Right. And see, as an artist myself, and
Mm-hmm.
having sat down and had to like, okay, when I get a vision for something, I don't always have
Yeah,
the panel in mind. And then when I am putting the panel together, I'm sitting there like, oh shit, this is quite the angle. Oh shit, look at this shading. Oh god, look at all this. And it's just like, as somebody who also does this, it's kind of like it's very much insulting that somebody's just gonna call up a computer to do that when I'm sitting here for sometimes days and weeks trying to plan out a panel, dreading some
literally.
scenes.
Literally, like I'm spending years just trying to
Yes,
master anatomy,
absolutely.
perspective.
Doing research and trying to get references off of Google Images. There's stuff on my Google image searches because I dabble in horror. There's stuff on my Google image searches that would put me on a watch list, half the time because it's people getting punched in the face. I gotta have a reference for the head chop off, like.
Right.
So it's like AI it's the hugest insult to human art ever.
Right.
But what would you say now to any aspiring artists like myself who feel discouraged by AI's rise? How would you give them a reason to keep going?
I would say don't be discouraged because AI can't replicate your voice. Your voice is yours at the end of the day, and
Mm-hmm.
only you can tell the stories that you have. It's like we've seen a bunch of different versions of, we'll say Spider Man right now.
Right.
What's your version of Spider Man? Only you can tell your version of Spider Man. And like I wouldn't let AI take that away from you.
Right.
Also the stylized part. If you don't like stylized art, I would recommend trying to stylize at least a little bit because that's what will ultimately show how different you are compared to others.
Okay. And we are running out of time here, but no worries. I'm gonna go ahead and close the show now, and
Okay.
because that's all the questions I had for you. But thank you for coming in. I appreciate you, and
Oh yeah,
thank
of
you
course. I
all.
love your questions.
No problem. No problem. And thank you all for tuning in. Where can they find you, Josh? If they
You,
want to check you out.
so I predominantly use Instagram, YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
mainly those. I do have like X, but rarely get on it. I have Blue Sky, things of that nature.
Right.
And under all of that, I am under Mobon Kiki, MOBANKI.
Yep. And I will link my socials and his socials in the description below. Uh,
Yeah.
and then all of you, audience, you too, Josh, feel free to come back next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. for an all-new episode. I am hoping to get Erica on the show eventually, if she has time. All right. You have a good one, Josh.
You too. It was nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you as well. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.